What's up, everybody? It's Man of Low Moral Fiber here. My name's Luke, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Ravager as part of my Does It Suck series. The Ravager is a Torgue shotgun with the Torgue shotgun barrel, and obviously being a Torgue weapon, it's going to deal explosive damage. Having the Torgue barrel, it is going to consume 4 ammo per shot, and I have it here with the rock skin, which is from Butt Stallion in the Tiny Tina DLC, and it adds a little extra critical hit damage, which can't hurt. Now there are some other popular Torgue barreled shotguns in the game, like the Quad, which also consumes 4 ammo per shot. Obviously there are some differences between these two weapons, however they are both pretty popular. The Ravager obviously being explosive, the Quad is non-elemental. The Quad being Jakobs is also going to have a higher fire rate. If we look at the damage there, we can see that the Quad has a little bit less damage per pellet, but does have 2 extra pellets, in addition to having a smaller magazine size than the Ravager, which might actually be beneficial for Zero since he has that one-shot, one-kill bonus, which we usually make use of when we are using shotguns. So that's something to keep in mind. Other than that, both weapons do have a pretty, poor accuracy. The accuracy difference between them is going to be rather negligible. There's the spread of the Ravager on one shot, and here's the spread of the Quad on one shot. So, and it will be a little bit different every time you shoot it as well. And they're really not going to be that much different than each other as far as accuracy goes. One important thing to note, though, is that the Ravager is going to have slow-moving pellets being a Torgue weapon, so that's something to keep in mind. Gonna be using this particular weapon today with a legendary sniper class mod, which actually usually works out to benefit shotguns pretty well. So let's go ahead and spec into some skills here. Obviously I want points in headshot, the extra critical hit damage can't hurt. Putting a point in precision is definitely going to boost my accuracy, which will be really nice. Now, since it is a shotgun, I'm going to go ahead and max precision. Being that the legendary sniper comm adds points to precision, oftentimes you only need to throw 1 point in there, but with a shotgun I really want to tighten it up, so we're going to add a little extra to that. I am going to max one shot, one kill, and I'm going to throw 1 point into velocity because it's going to increase our bullet speed quite a bit and give us a little bit extra gun damage and stuff as well. Now I do want to go ahead and max out Killer, but I am going to put a point in Kill Confirmed because the class mod does boost it. And maxing out Killer will allow us to get that one shot, one kill bonus more often and quicker after the reload, since the Ravager does have a rather high reload speed. Obviously that will be mitigated a little bit by fast hands. And I'm going to put points in Ambush as well. It's a nice multiplicative boost. Obviously putting points in Rising Shot and Deathmark and Death Blossom, because those will help us as well. Now with this weapon, since it doesn't have the fire as fast as you can pull the trigger mechanic that the Jakobs weapon does, I am definitely going to spec into Two Fang, which should help us get some extra shots off with the Ravager. Now I'm going to put some points in the Bloodshed tree for Grim, and also Execute, just in case we need to get closer to an enemy, and Deception, which should help us get off some good kills. And then I'll go ahead and put some points in Follow Through as well, since it can't hurt. Now I have these extra 2 points here. I'm just going to throw them into Velocity. I guess I could have put 1 in Innervate, but it's not going to make that big of a difference. So we're going to go ahead and get started here. I definitely need to buy my ammo real quick because I want to be maxed out on all other ammo, just so that the game will be generous with its shotgun ammo drops, because the Ravager will eat through ammo pretty quickly, with its Torgue barrel consuming 4 ammo per shot. So we're going to go ahead and get started here, get slag on this guy. And obviously with one shot, one kill coming out of Deception and stuff, this weapon is going to one-shot enemies. And so that works out pretty nicely. I haven't really used the Ravager too much on Zero. I did use it on some other characters and stuff. It's a pretty popular weapon for explosive spec characters. But obviously, being a shotgun, it's going to work well with Zero. And I think being a Torgue weapon, it should work pretty well with Boar, even though we have some points in velocity and stuff. So we'll see how we do. Gonna go ahead and kill this power loader real quick, and then we'll concentrate on the loaders behind it that actually have weapons. Get slag on all those dudes there. Excellent. Now I'm going to throw my decoy a little bit down here, and hopefully we can line up a bore shot on some of these guys. Nice. Cool. So it worked out pretty well there. Slag on this guy as well. And then we're going to throw our decoy and get this guy nice and slagged and kill him. Ooh, he wasn't slagged, but it still did pretty good damage to him for an enemy who wasn't slagged. So, It does have a little bit of a slow fire rate when Two Fang activates. That is helpful. But we are going to be able to get one-shot, one-kills with this weapon pretty easily. So the Ravager definitely doesn't suck on Zero. Obviously, using the quad or the Twister is probably going to lend a little bit more synergy, or even the Orphan Maker. But the Ravager is pretty solid. It's definitely not a bad weapon by any means. I could also be using an explosive relic to boost the damage of this weapon. That's one thing that you can't do with the quad. As unfortunate as that may be, there is no relic that boosts non-elemental damage, unfortunately. I guess I could also use a Deputy's Badge as well, but I do like the cooldown rate from the Bone of the Ancients Calm. We'll see how we do here against the badass that we're about to fight. Game being stingy with its shotgun ammo drops, sometimes it does that, but we still have over 100 ammo, so it's not like we're entirely low or anything. Got Slag and Kunai on the guy, I imagine. And we'll still be able to one-shot a badass like that, so that's pretty neat. Alright, moving forward now. I know I've mentioned it before, but it's pretty surprising how the legendary Sniper Calm also works out really well for boosting shotguns with Zero, so that's pretty cool. Oops, missed that guy there. Ended up killing him anyway, so we'll move on now and get ready to fight these power loaders. I'm going to blow up that barrel real quick. Get Slag on these dudes. I was hoping that shooting him from an downward angle like that would have helped out a little bit, but it didn't seem to, benefit us at all, really, so that was kind of weird. Obviously, being a shotgun, this weapon will be great for stopping exploders in their tracks, which is nice sometimes when an exploder's coming at you and maybe there's a wall behind you or something. So, I don't know. It's alright. Just another way that this weapon might be able to benefit you. Obviously, with Zero, throwing your deception decoy and having the exploders blow themselves up like that usually works out pretty well. Now, being an explosive weapon, you don't really get that explosive boost from Zero, via grenade damage boost or anything like that. But it's definitely a weapon that is preferred for Axton over the quad or something like that. Or probably Krieg as well, who gets those grenade damage boost. So that's something that I would keep in mind with this weapon. With Zero, I'd probably recommend a quad over this because, you get that extra Jakobs synergy that Zero has, and you don't really gain too many benefits from using the Ravager. However, that's not to say that if you found the Ravager that you shouldn't use it or anything like that, because it's still a Torgue barrel Jakobs shotgun, which always end up working out pretty well with Zero, so that's something I'd keep in mind. Definitely a pretty solid weapon. It's going to one-hit enemies when you're in Deception like that. And even when you're out of Deception, it will get pretty close, so that's pretty neat. Go ahead and kill this guy here, and then we'll get ready to fight the badass enemy that's going to be behind that door over there. Using Grim right now to recover my shield and stuff. Keep me a little bit survived, or a little bit healthier, while I get ready to get behind this guy here. Cool, so we're able to blow that guy up pretty easily. It's definitely going to have some one-shot, one-kill power, which is nice and definitely something that will make this weapon a little bit easier to use. Obviously, Zero has great synergy in Deception with shotguns because they are, a high-damage one-shot weapon, and you only get one shot of damage boost out of Deception and stuff, so shotguns work out really well for that because you don't really have to aim them as much as you do for sniper rifles, which are the other weapons that really benefit from that Deception boost. Alright, so we're moving into this next room now. We haven't really run into any, serious trouble using this weapon so far, and I think that that will be the case as we are in this room as well. I'm going to go ahead and let that guy blow himself up, and at the same time we'll kill this guy. Cool, so we killed those exploders, and we'll get ready to fight some more varied loaders now, I hope. Blow up some barrels, though, because they can't hurt us. And is always a good practice. Barrels are pretty tough enemies a lot of the time. I want to kill that guy real quick, get my Grim up so that that fire damage over time that I ran into doesn't kill me. I wanted to slag that guy, not knock him down. He's slacked now though, so good stuff. Throw my decoy way back there. Hopefully the exploders get to it. And then once they do, I'll kill this guy. Excellent. So that worked out pretty well. We're working through these enemies without too many issues. Unfortunately, we got more exploders than gun loaders so far, so that's not really great for testing purposes, but sometimes the game likes to do that. Looks like we got decent bore there. Not great bore, but decent. Excellent. So I want my deception right there. Good. I don't know if this guy's slagged or not. He is. Cool. He avoided my shot there. That wasn't cool, though. Neat. So I like the way that velocity does boost the bullet speed on this weapon, because obviously the slower bullet speed is something that makes it a little bit less usable at range than other comparable shotguns like the quad. Alright, so we're working through this map, you know, no real issues. It's not that the quad is a great synergetic weapon for Zero, it's just a great weapon, period. And even though it doesn't have, you know, really strong synergy with Zero or anything, you're still going to be able to make great use of it with Zero just because it's a damn usable weapon. Obviously, with Zero, you have better options with this kind of weapon type and everything. You know, a low magazine, high pellet shotgun. There are definitely better options like the Twister and Quad. And even though it doesn't have high pellets, the Orphan Maker is a really good choice for that role as well. Just kind of a low magazine, high damage shotgun. And because of that, it's kind of hard to really recommend the Ravager for this role. But if you found the Ravager and, you know, you didn't have any other weapons at the time, the Ravager would definitely be a great choice. It just happens to be outclassed by some other comparable shotguns with Zero. Now with other characters that might not be the case, characters that can boost its damage and stuff like that. However, with Zero, you'll probably have a little bit better luck with the Jakobs variants. So, that's something to keep in mind. This is definitely a good weapon though. It's a weapon that's so good that even though Zero doesn't have incredible synergy with it, it's still a very powerful weapon that is hard to say anything bad about, really. You know, it's a very good weapon, that's for certain. I threw my decoy there and then I didn't hide in a good spot, so I ended up going down, and that was my fault, not the weapon's fault. And as you can see, the weapon was easily able to get me a second wind there. And I think we'll be able to one-hit Pervy here as well, so that's pretty cool stuff. My fault for going down there. I shouldn't have stood directly behind my decoy in relation to the loaders that were there, but, you know, I made a mistake. Kill that guy. Eventually. We'll just bore through him here. Excellent. So we'll kill the rest of these guys in this room. I think there's only one more. And then we'll go ahead and give you another look at my gear and skill build. And as always, guys, I do thank you very much for watching. Final notes here on the Ravager. It's a good weapon. It's not incredibly synergetic with Zero by any means, but it definitely doesn't suck. And while Zero does have better options in this role, namely the Quad and the Twister and the Orphan Maker, among others, the Ravager is still going to be a very solid weapon. It's a very good weapon across multiple characters, and it will carry a lot of characters through a lot of different portions of the game. Obviously, it's not great for bosses, but it is a great mobbing weapon. And so, the Ravager definitely doesn't suck. It's a solid weapon that is fun to use, but with Zero, you are going to have better options in the shotgun role. So one more time, guys, thanks for watching. I do appreciate it. If you haven't yet taken the time to subscribe, please do so. I'd really appreciate that. Otherwise, I do hope to catch you next time. Bye, guys.